society. We promote positive sexuality and a healthy life. We advocate the policies that are concerning sexual and reproductive health and provide a network that links the medical students to the rest of the world. We actively work to create awareness by conducting various programs at state, zonal, national, and international levels. When we see a problem, Srisal kind of discusses it, and then we find a solution, we raise awareness, and we make it a reality, as you must have seen in our previous events. Something about that what GAIMS is, that is Global Association of Indian Medical Students. It is a global organization that's representing medical students of Indian origin all over the world. This organization was basically created so as to, provide a think tank that works to provide the highest possible standard of the medical education to all Indian medical students to be the best, though we are the best, but still to be the best in the world. It is a non-political association working with constantly engaging global medical academicians and educators in bringing efficient and quality education and abiding by government leadership to present the think tank suggestions to provide best healthcare to citizens of India and around the world. We also focus on helping the students and providing good environment to grow by assisting them to obtain scholarship or travel grants and helping the patients to medical camps, organizing workshops, and providing research opportunities. So before we begin today's session, which is on sustainable menstrual workshop called the Vagina Dialogue, I'd just like to, give you an insight that we are launching a new event in collaboration with Iridescence, which is India's first LGBTQ and SOGISC rights supportive group in any Indian medical association, and the first one of its kind, and I'm also the co-founder for the same. So Srisag, in collaboration with Iridescence and Pallavi Organization, which is an NGO based in Maharashtra, we're coming with a very new event that's called Srisag Consortium. And before we begin with this event, I'll just take 2 minutes, if that's okay with you, Alakshi, to give insight of what this event is, because we'll be launching it today. So basically, event, which is a consortium, and we'll be having 3 committees in which the delegates we'll be recruiting delegates. Be assigned specific committees for online discussions, as you see in some kinds of United Nations, if anyone have been a part of that before. Not an MUN, because we are not giving an agenda pre-hand. You'll be allowed to bring in your own. I think I was lost. I'm sorry, guys. So basically, we'll be giving 3 signing committees on transgender rights to commemorate the International Day of Remembrance of Transgender Population. That was 20th November, that just passed by. We will also be having a setting committee on the International Day of Violence Against Women, which is yet to come on 25th November. Yes, stay here. That is the Orange the World International for Violence Against Women, and we'll be having the other organization, that is Condom Not Condemn Federation, for people living with HIV in the field of medicine. So the participants will be allowed to bring on their own agendas in which to think that, okay, this is a point of discussion which has not been discussed so far, or it is something that I want to discuss with the fellow mates. And we'll be having experienced jury in the field related to help you, to guide you throughout the whole discussion. And at the end, there will be, as such a voting as it happens in the legislative assemblies. So this is a consortium which we will be launching today. So do register for that. And there will be just, a nominal registration fee if you are registering as an individual participation. We'll be charging rupees 200 from you. And if you are registering with a participant or a partner, which which, technically is not your partner, but if you're registering in a group of 2, you have to pay rupees 350. And also to mention here, all the capital that will be generated from the participation fee, we will be donating it to a transgender organization, which are basically working for the betterment of the transgender society and the AIDS awareness. So I believe that we'll get as many population as many delegates as we want, because it is for a noble cause. And I believe that everyone which is present at least in this call will register for that. So with this, I'd like to welcome ALAKSHI TOMAR from TRUCUP organization, who's the co-founder for that. And TRUCUP is basically working for sustainable menstrual development. And I'd like to hand it over to Sulekha for giving a brief introduction about ALAKSHI and what TRUCUP is working on. And I guess, yeah, we're ready to go for that.
Hi, Alakshi. Thank you so much, Bhavya. So Alakshi is the co-founder of True Company. She mainly works closely at the intersection of gender, education, sexual, and reproductive health. She's a certified trainer impacting menstruators to break the taboo across India and Singapore. True Company mainly aims to educate and influence mindsets towards positive menstruation among all the menstruators, with special programs for schools, colleges, and low-income communities in South Asia. It's a pleasure, Alakshi, to have you with us today. Hoping to see a lot more from you, and over to you.
Thank you so much, Sulekha. Thank you for the great introduction. And hi, everyone else. Hi, everyone who's online from wherever they're at. As Sulekha mentioned, my name is Alakshi, and I'm the co-founder of the True Company. TRUCUP is one of our primary products, the TRUCUP Menstrual Cup. And I'll get a little bit more into that. We have a little more than an hour, so I'll try my level best to not put you to sleep. But hopefully we can have a fun experience, since I have a lot of things that I want to talk to you guys about. And I'm sure as medical students, you can share your experiences, ask questions, and we can learn together. So generally, this is more of an interactive session. That's why it's called the dialogue, the Vagina dialogue. And I start off by asking people, why do you think the session is called the Vagina dialogue? So it'll be a little tough here, so I'll just answer the question. So the objective of this session is to create a dialogue around our bodies, around menstruation, around vaginas, because it's we get such little opportunity to do that. And simply put, menstruation is a topic that is very important. And I'm sure you discuss a lot about the reproductive system, bodies, menstruation in your classes back in your colleges. But today, the lens that we will take will be a little different. It will not be purely biological, because obviously the experts are on the other side of the window there. But we look at periods, we look at vaginas more from a social perspective, from an environmental perspective, from a political perspective. I know you guys are non-political, but everything we do and we be is political. So just to set that context, and I'll start off. So I want to share a quick story. During one of our workshops, I came across this girl called Anita. She was a 22-year-old, and she shared an experience with me. This workshop is happening in a small town called Jhunjhunu in Rajasthan. So she started working in the fields with her parents since she was 11 years old. And around when she was 13, one day she fainted while working in the fields with her parents. When she woke up, she was in the cattle shed. And she didn't know what had happened. She thought she fainted because of the heat. But then she suddenly noticed that there was blood coming out from her private parts. And this really freaked her out. She did not know what was happening to her. She got really scared. When her mother came to her mother handed her a very old sari cloth. And she was like, कि, आप ये लगा लो, ये जो हो रहा है तुम्हें बिल्कुल normal है. और ये सबके साथ होता है. So to make the situation even more more complicated, she also suffered from extreme cramps and extreme period pain, due to which she could barely even stand up during those 5 days. Now this continued till she was 17 years old, and obviously she went out for college and everything. But every period experience of hers was very similar. It was spent in the cattle shed. She had to battle extreme period pain, and she did not have enough period products to manage her periods. And she was always told that this was normal. She was also told many other normal things, wherein that periods are dirty, that a woman is impure when she's on her period. She should not go out. She should not touch her elders. For some reason, not even put nail paint or during her period. So these things always bothered her, and it really impacted her experience of her own body as well as her period. So it was almost scarring to the fact that she would not want to talk about her period at all, which did hit her health. It did hit her confidence. So when I heard this story in the workshop, I was very surprised about how these things are being perceived as normal. And it did make me pause. But then you come across such stories very often. If you look at the newspapers any day, there was an incident around how some young girls were told to remove their underwear to prove that they're not menstruating. A lot of the times there's an entire debate around women entering temples. Some holy man commenting on how women's periods would make them into dogs and bitches, and all these things are being said. So why do you think this is happening? Now, again, a question I asked the audience, but I'll just answer this myself. So while there is a lot of conversation around periods, if you see the mainstream, there are mainstream movies that are happening. There are sessions like these where there are almost like 100 people who are just listening to the fact that there's someone talking about menstruation. So there is a lot of conversation that is happening around periods, but the problem still continues. And I think we should take a minute to think about, why is this happening? Why, even though there is so much conversation around periods, that taboo is still there. And if we reflect a little,
insertion.
sorry, yeah, sorry, but I'll rant on for a little bit, and maybe we can get some comments from the audience. So why is this happening? When we think about it a little, we realize that there is inhibition within ourselves to talk about our own periods. If it's men, to discuss with them, or even for men to talk about periods in a group, in a social setting. And while there are a lot of organizations that are working in this space, there is still embarrassment, disgust, shame around this monthly process. And where does this shame come from, and where does these multiple taboos and myths come from? And if you think about it, it definitely is not about the blood, because otherwise it'll be doctors like you who will be schooling people like me about the taboo of, say, nosebleeds or something. It can't be about the process of menstruation itself, because then women who don't menstruate, or menstruators who don't get their period, they would live without taboos. So what is it exactly? And through our work and through all the literature that is out there, through people who've been working in this field, what we've realized is that periods is a very political and powerful tool. It's all about power at the end of the day, between genders, between patriarchy. How do you control a particular gender? Sometimes identities are used, sometimes your physique is used, sometimes your skin color is used, and periods is just one of those tools. So when periods are labeled dirty, disgusting, it directly implies that a menstruator is dirty and disgusting, which obviously hits the confidence, the self-image of a menstruator. If you add on to that, there are all these taboos that restrict your mobility. So you can't go out, you can't play sports, you can't go inside the kitchen, you cannot go into a religious institution. So it's a culture of shame that is being created. And so that's what's happening at a social side of things. And from a practical point of view, products are not accessible, and there are a lot of problems with the current products. So I'll get into that later. But I think the point is that the problem around menstruation is very diverse. And what we've made it very simplistic, that it is about providing cheap menstrual products. So anywhere that you see any kind of period campaign that is happening, it's all about providing free pads or raising money for sanitary napkins. And a simple look. I'm sure a lot of people here have seen the movie Padman. And while the movie itself is a very interesting look and very important step in the menstruation conversation itself, but the solution that the movie proposes is very simplistic. It talks about, how women are using dirty cloth. It keeps demonizing cloth as a product. And then when someone provides them cheaper disposable sanitary napkin, the problem is solved. Government has taken us one step forward by providing free sanitary napkins or extremely cheap sanitary napkins. But now, if we actually look at the problem of menstruation, what is the real cost of such a solution? A one-time session on periods does not change mindsets or taboos. While they are important, providing menstruators free disposable sanitary napkin does not do anything for their rights, for their health, or the environment. And what do I mean by that? I'll get into that around why these products are so important to look upon and so important to see what is going into these products. So if I can just share my screen. Yeah. Can you guys see my screen? Bhavya?
Yes, Alakshi, we can see it.
Yeah, we can see it.
Yeah, so I just hear some voices so that I'm just not talking to the screen. So what the problem around menstruation, I spoke a little bit about it, about how there are around 400 million menstruators, 355 of the million menstruators are there in India themselves. And we've put down these two problems as being the holistic problems: lack of access to safe, hygienic, and proper menstrual products, and a lack of knowledge around bodies and periods. So while the problem is not as simplistic, but just to summarize it all, this is what I was saying about the taboos, about the products, about how are we managing periods on the whole. And this is basically what we're looking at always, right? Like the process of menstruation. If you are medical students, if you are studying menstruation as a process, you can simply go into step by step. This is what happens during your period, and share that at the end of the day. But there's a lot that goes on at the background of this. So while the hormonal changes that are happening in your body, the social changes that you are grappling with, I think these two things need to be taken hand in hand, and which is why tracking your period is so important, talking about your period is so important, and just understanding your period is extremely important, both for, I feel, for all genders, not only for women or menstruators themselves. And which is why we're here, which is to talk about sustainable and positive menstruation. Whenever you ask someone about their periods, I think the top adjectives that come up is always, it's painful, it's uncomfortable, it's just a big inconvenience in your life. But how can we spin that around and make it more positive, so that if you're tracking your period, if you're aligned to your cycles, you can also become more powerful and more productive during and after your period. So how do you make menstruation positive? And sustainability is a very, very important aspect in today's world, especially with climate change, pollution, different viruses going around. These are all a repercussion of our lifestyles and what we're doing to the environment. And therefore, every habit of ours needs to take into account our impact on the environment. So therefore, we talk about environment-friendly alternatives, which contain no chemicals, don't harm your body, don't harm the environment. So why do you think we should choose green periods? So now there are a couple of reasons around that. While it's a personal choice also, if you look at a woman, like a menstruator's entire lifetime, there are around 35 years when you're menstruating, which means there's a lot of math on this slide, so I want you to ignore that. The main point is that every menstruator is disposing of a ton of disposable sanitary napkins during their entire lifetime. So if you look at India alone, we dispose of around 12.3 billion sanitary napkins every year. So India has to take care of that menstrual waste, and 99% of that waste is it cannot be decomposed. It harms the environment, and it has a lot of problems when you're using the sanitary napkin. Now, if you look at the sanitary napkin, there are different layers to it. If you open up your pad one day and you check what all is there in the product itself, that there are a lot of plastics and chemicals within that. So therefore, what is the way to dispose it of? I know everyone sits through these workshops, mostly women who sit through these workshops on how to use sanitary napkins. They are in the beginning, during school, they are introduced to the product itself. But no one talks about how are you disposing it off. I think the only thing that's told to us is that you wrap it in a newspaper, put it in a plastic polythene, and then throw it in the dustbin. So what is the journey from that dustbin is what we need to think around. So there are a couple of options that you get. So what can either happen is that most of these pads end up buried in the soil, but because they have a lot of plastic lining, a lot of non-compostable elements, they stay in the environment for 500 to 800 years. Therefore, burying it seems like an inconvenient option. The second option that has come up in the current times is burning it. So there are incinerators and a lot of other products like that. But the problem with burning pads is that if it's burnt in without enough space, without proper toxin control, and without having the capacity of burning so many pads, it actually creates more dioxin. It releases harmful chemicals in the air, which is again bad for the environment. So now these two options are gone. The third option is you can just throw it off, which is what a lot of the population does. And where it ends up is mostly in water bodies, in drainage. And because sanitary napkins have a product called SAP, super absorbent polymer, that what it ends up doing is it ends up clogging these drains and water bodies, and obviously they don't disappear, so they're always around, and they don't decompose for around 500 to 800 years. So while this is what is happening because of sanitary napkins to the environment, what are they doing to us? We need to think around that also. So because of the different chemicals and the plastic that is there in the product, it does lead to a lot of allergies, reproductive tract infections. The waste pickers that are handling this waste at the end of the day, who are picking this up, who are collecting the waste from our houses, they come in contact with soil pads, which exposes them to a lot of different diseases like HIV, E. coli, etc. So from whatever angle you look at it, a sanitary napkin creates more harm than it creates any kind of convenience, which is what a lot of people give the reason to use sanitary napkins. So while it's creating all this waste, while it's harming the environment as well as our bodies, what we need to start looking towards is safer, more hygienic products, and which is where reusable menstrual products come into being. We have to move forward. We don't, promoting sanitary napkins is taking us 5 steps back in the entire in the entire fight towards a positive menstruation. And sustainable menstruation is what will take us to a more healthier period. And which is why I think I'm going to spend the next 15 to 20 minutes. I'm going to pause a little here if there are any questions, any thoughts anyone wants to share. Or just anything you guys want to talk about.
Alakshi?
Yes.
Yeah, so we have someone asking here that why cloth pads are better than clothes, because both are similar, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So let me get into these products themselves, because I know there are a lot of questions around reusable menstrual products. So while cloth pads is one of the options, menstrual cup is another option. There are a lot of other reusable menstrual product options that we have available. So if I talk about cloth pads, so my next slide was cloth pads, so it's a very opportune question. So how are they different from usual cloths? So what happens in cloth pads is that there is layering of different kinds of materials. So if you look at a normal kapda, it is a single cloth and sometimes not very absorbent, and it's also not very sterilized at the end of the day. So a cloth pad, on the other hand, generally has 4 to 5 layers of different absorbent materials, mostly cotton, polyester, and different brands use different kind of materials, which is what makes it very absorbent and easy to clean. So there is some layering that helps it, that makes it very easy to clean. And therefore cloth pads are emerging as one of a very reliable means of managing your period. They can be used for around 6 to 8 months. They have been demonized a lot because ज़्यादातर conversation is कि गंदा कपड़ा इस्तेमाल नहीं करना चाहिए. But the point is that what makes the using the cloth during your period ganda is that the fact you're not drying it in the sun. So a lot of the times women, what they do is, because there's so much shame and embarrassment around periods, they end up drying their sanitary napkin or a cloth pad inside the house or in dark spaces. They hide it, which is because of which, if you don't dry it in the sun, it does not kill off the bacteria from the cloth itself. So it's very, very important that you dry it in the sun so that it's sterilized properly. And obviously you can wash it with lukewarm water, and it's as good as new to use for your next period, and it can be used for around 8 to 10 months. So therefore cloth pads, there are multiple pads available in the market. You can make some at home also from different materials that are left just lying around. So yeah, cloth pads is one of the alternatives that we have for reusable products. Other than cloth pads, there are Interlabia pads. These are also cloth pads, but they are smaller in size and they are generally placed near your labia during low menstruation days. So on your 3rd, 4th, 5th day of your period, or if you're spotting, this is a very good product to use because it will directly catch the flow of your blood. So this is another reusable product that can be used. Then period underwear is something that is up and coming. Things was one of the first brands in the US that started with this. So the period underwear is, how is it different from a usual underwear? Again, it has different layers, absorbent layers within the side of the underwear itself. So very easy to use. You can just wear it and not worry about it. The timeline that to use it is around, again, 4 to 6 hours, depending on your flow. You can again use it for 6 to 8 months. The process of maintaining it is the same as cloth pads, that you have to wash it properly in lukewarm water, then dry it in the sun. And then you can use it for years and years. Then this is a new product that's not very common in India right now. So a menstrual sponge is a small sponge which is found in certain corals of the world. And you can sterilize it in hot boiling water and insert it inside the vagina where it absorbs the blood, and then remove it, and cleaning it is a different structure, but this is another alternative for a reusable menstrual product. So these were a couple of options if you want to go green for your menstruation. And coming to why switch to green periods, I think I've spoken about this a little bit, but the main 3 reasons that we always talk about when we're speaking to people about switching from either sanitary napkins or no product at all, because we do a lot of workshops in rural areas, in urban slums. So switching to green periods, there are multiple positives to that. So firstly is the cost aspect. So if you look at the amount of money that you're spending on a monthly basis, on an average, a packet of pads cost you around 100 rupees, and generally takes you more than a packet during your period. So if you switch to reusable products, obviously your cost comes down by a huge number. And cloth pads, because they have to be replaced every 1 year or 1 to 2 years, they are a little more expensive than menstrual cups. And menstrual cups is what I haven't covered as yet, but I'll go deeper into it further in the conversation. There are a lot of health benefits, as I mentioned, with sanitary napkins, because of the plastic, because of the different synthetics and chemicals that are involved, the bleach that is involved in making the sanitary pad. Reusable products, on the other hand, do not have any of these things. So they're perfectly safe, they're natural, they're super hygienic to use as long as you maintain it well. The environmental impact I've already spoken about, and obviously the convenience. And while pads seem very convenient that you just have to put it and then remove it and throw it away, the comfort that you experience while using reusable sanitary products, even stuff like cloth pads where it actually feels like you're just wearing an underwear. Other products like menstrual sponges or menstrual cups, you don't feel them at all. So the convenience part of it, I cannot highlight enough. So the convenience, the comfort, all these things put together, they just seem like a very obvious choice, reusable products for the win. But coming to what we make. So we make the TRUCUP menstrual cup, and talking about menstrual cup as a product itself, and then I'll talk about what we do differently. So this is the design of our current product, and most menstrual cups are made up of medical grade silicone. There are some rubber and latex cups also. But 99% are made up of medical grade silicone. The cup was invented back in the 1940s, so it's been in the market for a while. But in India, it has come only in the past 10 years have people started talking about it, using it. And we launched our design 2 years back. So this is what the TRUCUP looks like. I can show you. This is our box. Which is the TRUCUP box, and this is what the cup looks like. So there are different aspects to the cup itself. So this is all medical grade silicone. It's super soft. As you can see, it gets bent very easily. So the top of the cup is what is the rim of the cup, which is what is inserted inside the body. If you see, there are these tiny holes right under the rim. So these holes, what they do is, the purpose of these holes is that it keeps the cup inside. So the holes will create a suction with your vaginal wall, which is what will make sure that it doesn't move, whatever kind of activity you're doing. If you're playing, you're swimming, you're running, even if you're sleeping. So the holes will make sure that the cup doesn't move. This is the cup body where the blood is collected. So what is different about the cup from say a sanitary napkin or a cloth pad is that it collects the blood. It does not absorb it, which makes it very easy to clean. So you can just remove the blood from here and it's as good as new. So this is the cup body which holds the blood. These are the grip rings. If you can see, there are these rings which are there. These would help you remove the cup very easily, which is the same purpose of the stem here. So the stem, our cup has a flattened stem, which is very different from the cups available in the market. What it does is it helps you grip on very easily and grip on very nicely so that you can remove the cup. So this is what the cup looks like. And coming to how do you use the cup? Now, this is a question we get very often. Not much from men, mostly from women who are trying to use the cup. How do you use the cup itself? So if you can see, this is a very crude picture of what it looks down there. So your cup goes into your vaginal hole so that it can collect the blood from there. And how do you use it? So it's a very simple process. It might take you a couple of cycles to master it, but all you have to do is, firstly, you have to fold the cup. So there are different ways to folding the cup. You can try a C fold, which is what looks like this, right? You can do a punch down fold. It looks like this. Or you can do a 7 fold, which looks like this. So now this completely depends on your convenience, whatever is easy for you to do. I generally use the punch down fold, which is what I find convenient. And once you have the cup and you've gripped it tightly, all you have to do is you have to insert it inside the vaginal hole and you have to push it up, and it pops open easily. Because the cup's firmness is the TRUCUP is medium firm, therefore it opens up very easily. So you don't have the danger that is the cup open inside once it's gone up. because of the firmness, it will very easily pop open. You have to make sure that you aim it towards the tailbone so that so that it's easily inserted inside, and you don't push it too too high so that it doesn't cross your cervix at the end of the day. So if you can see in the diagram, this is another clearer one wherein you're inserting the cup, it goes up and then it pops open. A couple of things that you have to make sure. You have to make sure that you wash your hands. So this is what we've been saying for a while, even before the corona epidemic, is that before you use the cup, you have to make sure that you wash your hands very nicely. And once you're inserting the cup, I think that the primary thing is that you have to be very relaxed, because otherwise your muscles tend to tighten up, the pelvic muscles would tighten up, and it would be a little difficult for you to insert it. So relaxing is very important. Washing your hands is very important. And what is the position that you take? I will show a video for also to make this a little more visual. So what you have to do is you can either squat down or you can place one leg on the toilet. So both of these, depending on however you're comfortable, both of these positions can be taken to insert the cup. And once inserted, another pro tip can be that you can do it in the shower if you're doing it for the first time, so that there is some lubrication because of the water. So fold it, insert it, it will pop open, and then it will stay inside and collect your blood. Generally a cup can last till 10 to 12 hours, but it completely depends on your flow, on your cycle, but you can keep it for around 10 to 12 hours, not more than that. 12 hours is when you have to remove the cup, which brings me to the removal of the cup, which is what intimidates a lot of menstruators when they're using the cup, because it's a little tricky to begin with, but once you get a hang of it, it's very, very simple. So removing the cup, firstly, what you have to do is you have to locate the cup. The stem will help you locate the cup inside. And a very important point, you don't pull the cup, you don't remove it by pulling the stem. Or what the stem will help you do is it will help you locate the base of the cup. And once you've gotten hold of the base of the cup, you pinch it so that the suction breaks, and then you can remove it very easily. And then it's out. You can empty the blood in the toilet and wash it with lukewarm water. A lot of people have started using menstrual cup washers, but we say that normal running water is completely safe. Making it a little lukewarm just helps you clean it easily. Make sure that the holes are clean, that the cup is clean, and then you can reinsert it. The cup will last you for around 5 to 8 years, depending on how you take care of it. And this is the short video that I was talking about, so which will make it more visual. Yeah. I think the sound is not working on this, so I'll just talk you through this. So the cup comes with a manual, a step-by-step manual on how to use the cup, what are the do's and don'ts, and how to maintain the cup. So this is a visual of what the cup looks like. As I mentioned, it has a stem, and so boiling the cup is a very important point for sterilizing the cup. The first time when you use the cup, make sure that you sterilize it for 5 to 7 minutes. So boiling it for that time makes it very easy and safe. So you insert the cup, make sure that it's in place, folding it. There are different ways to fold it. That's the 7 fold. This is the C fold that she's doing right now. And as I was mentioning, different ways you can squat to insert the cup, or you can put one leg on the toilet so that it's easy for you. It's a good position for you to insert the cup. This is a quick look of what the cup will look like inside. Where does it exactly go? So your cup will be placed in the vaginal canal, which is why it doesn't go too up. A lot of questions that obviously we get from people who are not very familiar with their body. This is how you insert the cup. As I mentioned, it will pop open inside very easily, collect all the liquid. Depending on your flow, either it can be a very heavy flow or a light flow. Your cup will last for 10 to 12 hours, depending on the flow. And as I mentioned, you can do any kind of activity when you're wearing the cup. That you can do yoga, you can sleep, you can play any sports, or you can just relax. It's a very convenient product, and any kind of activity is permissible. Removing the cup, as I mentioned, 10 to 12 hours is the maximum amount of time you can use it till. And pinching the cup is very important, and as you remove it, the blood will not spill over, so you don't have to worry about any spillage or anything. It will easily come out if you're keeping it straight and bringing it down. So once you empty the blood, you just have to clean it with running water, and then it's as good as new to use. So this was a small summary of how to use the cup. As I mentioned, the different holes, this is where the cup would stay. This is the side view of where exactly it goes, so that it doesn't have to come beyond your cervix, so that it's right under the cervix to catch the blood. And aiming it towards the tailbone will make sure that the cup is aligned and goes in easily. So the cup is available currently in 3 colors on our website on different platforms, and there are different sizes. The TRUCUP is available in a small and a large size, and it comes with a cloth pouch and a manual also with it. These are some reviews about the menstrual cup, about people who have used the cup. And so this is what we do. This is what the cup is about. And any kind of questions that you might have around either menstrual cups or menstruation, happy to take them on.
Hi, Alakshi. That was really nice. So we have a few questions from our side. Just give me a second. Okay. So there's this. So how can you clean period underwear and cloth pads when they absorb blood? Won't they stain? How will they remain sterile?
Yeah. So the materials that these products are made of, they are very easy to clean, so they do not stain. Also, another point of cleaning these products is that when you, as soon as you remove them, you put it in lukewarm water and then wash it in some time. So I think the material that they are made of makes it very easy to clean, and which is why cloth pads is a convenient methodology to use.
I request everyone to mute themselves. So Lekha, you're on mute right now, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, better.
Yeah. So there's one of our participant actually asking. So she actually used a menstrual cup on her last period. It was fine for the first 3 days, but after 3 days, it started paining during insertion. So she wants to know if maybe it was a wrong way of insertion, or does this happen? So what do we do in such cases?
Yeah, so I might need to ask her more questions around that, but just a simplistic answer to that would be sometimes, because what happens during the last few days of your period is that your bleeding becomes much lesser. So therefore, the lubrication that might be required, because she's using it for the first time, so she's not very comfortable using it. Sometimes that's why it might hurt a little bit, only because it's towards the end of your period cycle, and the lubrication is making it a little tougher to insert. But with time, once you perfect the technique of inserting it, because it goes inside very easily, that discomfort will reduce. I think a simple trick to do to sort of get over that is to wet the cup before inserting it, so that it goes in easily. So that's what I understand could be the problem. But yeah, there could be different reasons around it. I would just say give it time, because it takes you at least 2 to 3 cycles to get used to a menstrual cup. after which, it just becomes seamless.
Yeah, right. Also, we have here asking, yeah. So, does menstrual cups cause any kind of allergic reactions?
So no, so because of the kind of material that they're made of medical grade silicone, which is it's an inert material. It does not cause any infections or any kind of reactions. If you look at sanitary napkins, the rashes and everything associated with that, you don't get that at all because the product is inserted inside. So yeah, it's a very hygienic and safe use of the product.
Okay. And also, how often does a menstrual cup need to be sterilized? Once in use, or how is it?
So during your cycle, you don't need to sterilize it. You can just wash it with plain water. Sometimes if you're a little, extra hygienic, you can get a menstrual cup wash also. But like I said, just running water is completely okay. Only at the end of the cycle or at the beginning of the cycle, you have to boil it for 5 to 7 minutes. But sometimes dipping it in extremely hot water and keeping it in for 5 to 10 minutes can also do the trick. I would recommend boiling it every 1 month, I would say.
Okay. Also, are cups safe for IUD?
Are cups safer?
Safe for IUD, intrauterine devices, like women who use, yeah.
So,
So,
while I would always recommend that you should talk to your gynecologist when you're starting to use the cup with the IUD, if the cervix length and the IUD placement is not very low, you can easily use the cup. But talking to your gynac is always better because it can get displaced sometimes if you're inserting it in a particular way.
right. Okay. So Bhavya, would you like to take over from here?
I think there are a couple of questions that are sent to me privately also, so maybe I can pick those up.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
go
sure,
ahead,
sure, sure.
Alakshi. Yeah.
Yeah.
So someone has asked me what age is better to use menstrual cup. So we get a lot of these questions around, if a teenager can use a menstrual cup, if you're a virgin, can you use a menstrual cup? So just a blanket statement: a menstrual cup can be used at any age, regardless of your virginity status. Also, for younger menstruators, for teenagers, it is recommended that you start off with a softer cup. So as I told you, the TRUCUP is medium firmness. If you touch it, it's not very soft, but not very tough also. There are softer cups available. We are launching a True Teen range of menstrual cup, which is specifically aimed for teenagers. So you can start off with a softer cup, and then obviously 5 to 10 years you can switch to a firmer cup once your lifestyle becomes more active. And addressing the virginity bit, it's not, your virginity is not linked to any sort of product inserting it, the hymen breaking or not breaking. Your virginity is linked to sexual intercourse, which is completely different from using a menstrual cup or a tampon or any kind of insertable menstrual product. So yeah, so you can use it. It will not hurt. I think another question that comes up is, will the menstrual cup hurt when you use it or when you insert it inside? So if you insert it properly, if it's inserted, in the right direction, it will not hurt you at all. So,
Alakshi, there's one question that came to me privately, which says that what are the chances of developing infections or TSSD while using cups?
So there are barely any chances of developing both these things. I think the percentage right now is 0.1 to 0.5% of developing TSS, which is toxic shock syndrome, majorly associated with tampons, super absorbent tampons. So there have been studies. There was a study from the Lancet Institution, which basically affirmed the safety of using menstrual cups and the association with TSS. So TSS is an extremely rare phenomena, especially with menstrual cups. The 2 or 3 cases that have come up have mostly been cases where either the person used it for too long, like she kept it in for more than a day, which I definitely do not recommend. I think it's just common sense that you need to remove it after 12 hours. And the other two situations were also very, very unique, unique instances. So yeah, I would say very rare and short.
I guess that was it in my questions. Sulekha, can you just see if there are any more questions left?
I of them. Maybe I can just tell like 4, 5, 6 of them that have come to me personally.
Yeah,
I
sure,
got
Alakshi,
one
go ahead.
more. I got one more. So it says that will the menstrual cup reduce muscle cramps?
It will not. So I honestly speaking, there has been no medical research around the relation between cramps and menstrual cups. So we cannot say this medically. But mostly in terms of say more informal conversations and informal feedback that we've gotten, we have heard of people wherein their cramps have reduced after using the menstrual cup. But like I said, there's not enough scientific evidence behind this between the relation. So what we say is that the product is not related to cramps right now, but there has to be more research around this, I would say.
Okay, great.
So there is a question: in case of emergency, are menstrual cup really efficient, as we can't carry them on us all time and maintain their sterility? And for reusable pads in our high-paced lives, how can we find the time to wash them again and again? Okay, this is a question around the convenience of it. So a couple of things. Firstly, carrying a menstrual cup is actually very simple. It's just a small pouch. So generally we give this cute little cotton pouch whenever you buy a menstrual cup. So carrying it in your bag, in your just in your pocket is very, very simple. So cleaning it is another another question that we get many times, that if I'm in the office, how will I clean it? So for that also, it's a very simple solution. All you need to do is maybe take a little bit of water, because cleaning the cup does not require a lot of water, which is what makes it more efficient and reusable. It just requires a small amount of water. So just taking like a small bottle of water, if you don't have a jetter inside the toilet available, carrying a little bit of water with you will make it, it's very simple to clean the cup. Also, the fact that because the cup will last you for 10 to 12 hours, it's just easier to maintain the product. You don't need to change it as often as a sanitary napkin. Coming to reusable pads, again, what many women who use these products, what they do is they carry a small pouch where they can store the dirty pad in. So if they're changing the pad when they're outside or when they're traveling, they can just keep it in that pouch, keep it inside, and then obviously whenever they're in a place where they can access water, they can obviously wash it. And finally, addressing the washing again and again part of it. Now, at the end of the day, during your cycle, you're not using, say in a day, you're not using more than 1 or 2 pads. So washing them together is not as inconvenient as we make it out to be. We have washing machines, we have, we wash underwear. There's so many things that we are washing on an everyday basis. This is literally, say a 0.5% in our everyday workload increase. So the convenience that's associated with it it's out of the world. So I would say that washing them again is much better than polluting the environment and disposing of some 10,000 pads in your entire lifetime. So yeah.
Alakshi, there's one more question which says, is it advisable to take painkillers during those days of menstruation with pain?
So again, something that I would recommend, you should ask the gynecologist, because they're the best people to answer that question. Coming to, from whatever we've read, whatever we've heard from people, it's a personal choice to the fact that if you're facing a lot of pain, avoiding the medicine is not the right way. But obviously, relying too much on the medicine is also not the most convenient way possible. So I would say discuss it with your gynecologist and then take a call on that.
There's one more thing which says that it's regarding PCOD. Is exercise okay during menstruation?
Oh, 100%. Exercise is actually important during menstruation, not heavy exercises. I would say something which is on the lighter side. Again, it depends on the kind of body that you have. Every period experience is different. Every body is different. Every vagina is different. So I always say that push yourself as much as you can. So while exercising is completely permissible, even running is completely permissible. It's a personal decision as to how much you want to push yourself. But coming from the safety aspect of things, it's completely safe to do it, especially wearing the cup. I do yoga. I did yoga in the morning also. I'm on my period right now. Inversions is something which is debated, but that's another topic for another day, I guess.
Alakshi, another one I have that says that can we eat dark chocolate during menstruation to reduce pain? That's a nice one.
I don't know if it will reduce your pain. There are elements within dark chocolate which have proven to have that impact pain and reduce pain to some extent. There's iron, magnesium, and all these things.
I'd like to say here something here. So, whosoever has asked this question, I'd request you to just read a paragraph in Genong, which says that the chocolate is doing something on the channels inside the smooth muscles and all the layers. So, whosoever has asked this question, just read in your physiology book. You'll definitely get an answer there.
Yeah, but I heavily, we actually launched a range of true chocolates, which was mostly dark chocolate, or almost 70% dark chocolate, because of the research that is around the association between chocolate and pain relief, mood relief, lot of positives around chocolates. I don't know why I need to talk about this, but yeah.
I got it. So the another question says that nowadays many sanitary napkins are advertising as cotton pads. Are they really safe?
The cotton pads are different. So they're completely, cotton pads are reusable sanitary napkins. So if you're talking about that, that is safe. But there is another category that has come up, which is the biodegradable sanitary napkins. A lot of brands are promoting themselves as biodegradable, made of banana fibers, bamboo fibers. Now the difference there is, so we have to understand the term biodegradable. What does biodegradable mean? Now your sanitary napkins, which is your plastic sanitary napkin, is also biodegradable. It takes you 500 years to biodegrade it. So to degrade it. So you have to check with the producer, whoever's supplying these pads, as to how much time does it take to compost these pads. There is a lot of literature around how these pads are not very compostable. Because of they have different linings of plastic. So the inside is still bamboo fiber, which is different from your normal sanitary napkins, but the outside of it still has some plastic fibers. There's bleach to make it white. There are other materials that are used. So I would say I question the supplier, question the producer, to make sure that you know the kind of product that you're using is safe.
The another question says to know that the menstrual cup is full.
How do I? Sorry, your voice.
How do we get to know that menstrual? Am I audible?
Voice is breaking up a little. How do we get to know the
cup?
Bhavya?
Oops, I think our.
Okay. Okay. I'll ask that question. So Bhavya wants to ask, how do we know that menstrual cup is full?
Yeah.
Okay. So you don't get to know when the cup is full, because the beautiful part around the cup is that once it's inserted, you don't feel it inside at all. So it's a combination of factor between when your pad is full. Obviously, you can see it, but at the end of the day, as you start using it more and more, you realize that, okay, around this time, generally on my first day, my pad gets full. So it's the same process with the cup. Over time, as you keep using it, you'll realize that this is your cycle, this is your flow, and this is when you need to remove the cup. So for me personally, for example, I know that I need to check for my cup to be full in 4 to 5 hours on my first or second day. But on my third or fourth day, it can go on for 10 to 12 hours because my bleeding reduces very marginally. So yeah, so it's a process of just figuring your own cycle, which is why it helps you connect with your body even better, because you're more familiar with it, you understand your cycle, etc.
Great. I think that was it, the questions that were with my side.
Okay, I'll pick up the ones which I heard.
Yeah.
Okay, it can break the hymen. Someone has message saying it can break the hymen. So I agree with you, Bhavya Shrimani. It can break the hymen, the menstrual cup, because the way it's inserted, there is a possibility that might stretch out the hymen, but that does not interfere with any kind of processes in your body. It's not unsafe, it's not unhygienic or anything. So I think I mentioned the hymen part because people associate hymens with virginity, which is what we need to break, right? As medical practitioners, that's the fact that we need to stress upon, that the hymen is not linked to virginity. And even if it stretches, it can stretch if you're biking, if you're doing some physical activities, if you're running also. So therefore the cup can also break it. So yeah, that's a fact. Okay, is it advisable? Okay, we've taken that. Can menstrual cup cause UTI? It cannot. UTIs are generally, there are different reasons behind that, but the cup is made of medical grade silicone, so it will not cause UTI. Can you please elaborate on the size of the cup? Is there any criteria? Okay, yes. So how do you pick the size? There are a couple of things that you need to keep in mind. Firstly, your age. Generally, if you're above the age of 35, you have to go for a larger cup because your pelvic muscles are loosers. If you're below the age of 35, you can opt in for a small cup. So that's one. Second is the height of your cervix. So if you have a higher cervix, and the way to measure it is by just the finger test, you can insert it. And if your finger goes completely inside, that means you have a higher cervix. If it goes, say, halfway, that means you have a medium cervix. And if it doesn't go, say, beyond this finger, then you have a lower cervix. So if you have a lower cervix, a smaller cup is recommended, because then the cup is shorter. Therefore, it will fit in very easily. If you have a higher cervix, a larger cup is recommended, because that cup would be longer, so it'll be easy to remove the cup. Another thing you can do if you have a lower cervix is you can cut the stem off, which is why a cup is suitable for both high cervix and low cervix menstruators, because if you cut off this stem, then the size of the cup reduces, so it won't be inconvenient. So the key is to make sure that the cup is completely inside, so that you don't feel anything. And if you're feeling the stem, you cut it off. And so your cervix is a criteria, your age is a criteria, and childbirth is the third criteria. So if you've given birth vaginally, then large cup would be good for you. But if you've not given birth, or if you've given birth by C-section, then a small cup would do. So yeah, that was how you pick your size. It's also available on our website, so you can just go for that. Are there any advantages of harder cups to softer ones? So the harder cups are generally, or like the more firmer ones are generally for women who have a more active lifestyle. So if you exercise more, if you if you have a very if you go around a lot, and if you have a very active lifestyle, then a firmer cup is better. A firmer cup is also better so that it opens up very easily. So if you're a beginner, while a lot of people would tell you that go with a soft cup, I personally feel that it discourages you, because then it won't open up properly inside. And because of that, there might be some leakages. So just because it opens up easily, also the firmer cup just is more convenient that way. And does exercise that strengthen pelvic floor make it easier to insert a tampon or a cup? So I'm not 100% sure on that, but I know for a fact that if you have a strong pelvic floor, then keeping the cup in and making sure that it doesn't move around, that would be very helpful. But we can get back to you on this question, whether that would help or not. Anuja has asked this question, so yeah, we'll find out more about this question. Is exercise okay during menstruation? I think we've already done that.
ALAKSHI, I have a question that says that will the color of cup matter? Because it's getting into the female private genital parts, it's recommended to use a transparent cup, question mark.
Correct. It depends on the color of the cup is purely for aesthetic reasons, A. B, what kind of colors are being used in the cups, you need to be careful around that. So whoever you're buying the cup from, if it's us, we use organic silicone-based colors, which are completely safe for the body. They have been tested completely. So that's related to our cup, but other cups, just asking them if their colors are safe, the coloring pigment that they're using is safe, would be helpful. Otherwise, there is no differentiation between transparent and colored cups, either in terms
Thank you, Lakshi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me just quickly take a couple of last few questions.
Sure.
And then we can wrap it up. Okay, won't the flow content cause infection or other problems if kept like that for 12 hours? Okay, so we get a lot of questions around the hygiene aspect or infections and everything. So firstly, as opposed to sanitary napkins, the number of infections that you can get from a sanitary napkin, I think is the question doesn't even arise around reusable products. But to answer this question specifically, because the blood is inside the body, therefore there is no chance of an infection. And even though it's being collected inside the cup, because it stays inside the body, it doesn't cause any infections. So that's not a problem at all. It's purely just collecting what is coming out of the body. So it will not cause an infection. Beyond 12 hours, there is a possibility that there would be some bacteria creation, but only if you keep it inside for 12 to 14 hours, that possibility is there. But otherwise, if you remove it, if you clean it, it's completely safe. The same thing with, say, a pad or a tampon or a cloth pad. If you keep wearing it for more than 6 to 8 hours, there is a huge chance that you will get an infection. So I think it is a personal habit also that we need to create. Okay, is it safe for women with PCOS if they use a cup? Completely safe. PCOS is not linked to any kind of menstrual product that you're using, so you can easily use it. Yeah, I think I've covered.
Alakshi, we have a question saying, are menstrual cups suggested for low, moderate flow, irregular flows, and higher flow days? I mean,
Yes, so there are different kinds of cups also available. So if you have a very high flow, very heavy flow, you can go for a bigger cup also. If you have a lower or a very medium flow, a smaller cup is completely easy to use, because it's just another product that you're using which you can't feel. So once it's inside, you can't figure out how much your flow is or what your flow is all about. Even if you have clots, we get a lot of questions around, if I have clots, can I use the menstrual cup? You can still use the cup. It's just that you'll have to change it more often if you're having clots or very heavy bleeding. So yeah, you can use it in different kinds of bleeding flows also.
so I think, we're done with the questions, I guess.
A lot of questions. I'm happy about that. Wish we could hear the questions from people also, but no, that's still, I hope, covered all the questions that there are. At the end of the day, I think using what kind of product is completely dependent on you. Even when we take these sessions, even though we represent reusable products, I still think that it's your choice, but it has to be an informed choice. So you have to know that what are the ill effects of using products which are not disposable, which are harming the environment, which are harming the body, and what are the positives for switching to reusable products. And personally, my experience with the cup has been very, very positive, which is why we ended up starting the company. I think my co-founder Shivangi, she was a huge cup proponent, and which is why the idea came together, wherein I saw the problem that was there on the field, where women don't have enough access to products themselves. They don't have enough knowledge around their bodies, and that leads to a lot of things. But the conversation around menstruation does not have to be restricted to products itself. It's much more beyond that. And I think that's why I started off our session talking about the social and political aspect of menstruation, and while figuring out whether you want to use a cup or a cloth pad or just a pad is important. I think thinking about why are you shy about talking about your periods is another question that we need to grapple with. And yeah, just talk about it. Just be more open about your processes and be more confident about your bodies. Um, Another question that I always want to address is, when people start talking about switching to the menstrual cups, the top thing that comes in their mind is that they're scared of using the cup. That's the first barrier that gets created for women when they're trying to switch to the cup, that they're scared of this little thing, because they feel that it might cause them pain, it might cause them infections. But again, all this is also linked to our conditioning. There is, masturbation is a taboo, just, exploring your body is a taboo. People don't understand where the vaginal hole is, where the urinary hole is. So understanding your body is therefore very, very important to break that fear in your mind, and figuring that it's all in the mind at the end of the day, and the cup will not cause you any pain. It's just a product to make your period more convenient. So I would say just break through that fear. I always encourage men to talk about it, to ask more questions, get involved in the conversation, because it's just something that affects all of us. So yeah, that's like.
Amazing, Alakshi. That's really awesome, and we're like, so glad to have you here. We're talking about something that people like, even us as medical students sometimes face a bit kind of unease to talk about it. So I'm really, really grateful for you to coming up here and talking about it. Before we wrap up the session, guys, I just want you to know that we are very, again, grateful to the TRUCUP company for, kind of giving some 10 giveaways today. And for that, so basically we are going to share a post-event questionnaire, which is going to have some questions on the basis of what you learned in the session, and some to judge your knowledge, though we're not obviously the judges of something which you have learned, but just as a small kind of formality. So the top scorers for that will be given giveaways. Also, the left giveaways, that is the 7 out of 10, will be given to those who are in the dire need of it, because in today's area, if we see, there are a lot of household workers and the domestic workers who are so badly hit by the COVID and the coronavirus that they're not able to afford these things. There are not just domestic workers, there are some like there was a tsunami in some parts of India, there were floods in some parts of India. So the migrant workers, the domestic workers, and the household workers, so all of those who click a picture with them and put it over their Instagram post by tagging GAIMS and TRUCUP company, by also telling us what they really learned to this session, will be getting 7 giveaways to each one of them who post a picture of themselves with their domestic workers or whom they think the TRUCUP can really reach out to and make differences in their life, create a smile on their faces. So go and follow TRUCUP and GAIMS right away and put your beautiful pictures. We are waiting for them. And again, I'm really grateful to Alakshi and Shivangi and the whole TRUCUP company for taking their time and creating awareness amongst all the masses, the medical students, and helping us to reach the domestic and the household workers who are in the really dire need of it today. So thanks a lot, Alakshi, for being here with us today.
One thing,
Yes.
thank you so much for having me here and giving me this platform of talking to so many people and young medical students like you, who basically everyone goes to you for advice. So we're hoping that you can spread the word. Just a quick small thing. So as I mentioned, so as the True company, we have the TRUCUP as a menstrual product that we sell, but we also have a True social program. So what you mentioned about women not having access to products, not being able to manage their periods. So the True social programs make sure that women in rural areas or urban slums or low-income communities get access to reusable products, A, and also we do workshops with them. So if anyone wants to volunteer, wants to be part of these workshops or know a group or community that requires products or education around menstruation, please reach out to us. I've left out my details like our company Instagram page as well as email. And obviously, we are planning a lot of things with the GAIMS team and hoping that that goes somewhere. So anyone who wants to jump in, who wants to volunteer, who wants to be part of it, happy to talk to them about it and get involved. So thank you, Bhavya, thank you, Sulekha, and the rest of the team for giving us this chance and to talk about us.
We are really, delighted to have this session today with us, ALAKSHI. And again, huge thanks and bravo for such a great event today. Just before we wrap up, guys, let's have a group picture if everyone's okay to turn their cameras on.
Awesome.
Okay. Sulekha, can you take a screenshot over your laptop? Meanwhile, the people that are just switching over the web cameras. I cannot see my NO switching their cameras on. Come on, everyone, show us your beautiful faces.
Everybody's in their Sunday mode in pajamas and just like.
I'm still wearing those bunny pajamas, so not an issue.
Okay, then is there anyone else who would like to turn on their cameras?
Yeah, we can wait for like a minute or so and then we can have a picture.
In the meanwhile, can we ask our NOs to speak a few words also?
Yeah. Surbhi, Ananya, Priya, Mariam, if any one of you wants to speak up, like share your views or anything, big gratitude. Okay, I don't think they want to say anything. We can go on with the picture.
Can you hear me?
Oh yes, Surbhi, go ahead. Go ahead.
Hi everyone. First of all, I'm really very sorry. I don't know what has happened to my Zoom screen. The video is not getting, it isn't accepting my commands. I just don't know. I'm so sorry for that.
Not an issue.
But I would like to I'm really very, very grateful for True Company as well as ALAKSHI for organizing this session with us. It is so commendable. Your efforts are so commendable. It was so amazing to listen to you, to see all those queries which we have, like even as women we have in our daily lives about menstruation, about menstrual health, about the menstrual products, and these queries you so beautifully answered them. Thank you so much. And thank you to all the participants who joined us today in this amazing endeavor. We really hope to have you us again in future for such events. Thank you so much. I'm Surbhi, one of the national officers for SRISOG. Thank you.
Thank you, Surbhi.
Thank you, Surbhi. I think we can have a picture, Sulekha. Like, I don't think anyone else is going to have turn their cameras on. So yeah, we can have a picture. Yeah.
Okay. Sure. So anyone wants to make a pose or something?
Just go for it.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll put V for vagina. Is that okay?
Cool, that would work. Yeah, that's nice.
Everything's just like a V.
Yeah. Okay, so then 1, 2, 3. Yes.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you everyone for joining us. And again, huge rounds of applause for the TRUCUP company for the work they're doing for sustainable development and also a healthcare problem. So thank you guys for joining us. We'll be back with another event. Not back, we already have an event in the line. So do register for that because it's also for a good cause. We're generating a fundraiser for the transgender and the AIDS organizations. And do register for Shrisa Consortium right away and do follow GAIMS, TRUCUP, and Iridescence. Thank you, everyone. I adjourn the meeting now.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, guys.